Welcome to Podcast Heroes. We made it to episode 11.
Episode 11, pretty exciting. Always
That's more
fun.
than 10.
Yeah, more than 10.
One more than 10.
Not celebrating with any alcohol this time, unfortunately. Maybe for 15. Maybe that'll be our next benchmark.
Sure.
So 4 weeks from now.
Any excuse to drink is a good excuse.
Yeah, especially when talking about video games.
So thanks for jumping into the conversation this week and letting us know what you think on Facebook. Our email at niceguysnetwork@gmail.com and our Reddit.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Nate. He commented on our Facebook page. One of our weekly listeners gave us a topic to start talking about every week. So we're going to bring that new segment. We're going to call it what were you guys doing with it? You know, what are you calling it?
Map stats.
There we go. We're going to be talking about a map every week, maybe a map multiple times even. We're just going to talk about different strategies on that map, how to win on that map, and the different team comps you can do on that map.
Or how you could lose on that map.
Or, if you'd like to watch us play, you can watch how to lose.
A lot of what these maps that we're going to be talking about are the specific numerical statistics that are going to help you win. For example, when do timers start? How long are timers? Because that's not really common knowledge in this game.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and oh, sorry, Bentley.
No, we had to do some deep digging. And actually, if you go onto our Facebook page, you can get a lot of the map stats.
I believe it was about 7 posts ago or something like that. Aaron posted a Imager link that linked to information on all the maps. We're going to bring you that knowledge firsthand, though, as well as some opinions on the maps and, different ways to win. At least how we've been winning on them, or in the case of me and the Sky Temple map, which we're talking about today, how to constantly lose at it, because that is by far and away the worst map I have on my stat sheet there. So, woohoo! But the first thing we want to talk about is the news. Pretty dead week, really. Yet again, like last week, it just seems to be in the middle of a lull here. Nothing too exciting happening.
The development teams for the games are separate. But the Eternal Conflict campaign, the main developers for it are also launching something for some news for Hearthstone this week. So that could be one reason why the news is a little light.
Absolutely. Or, it's like, you never know what could be causing it. I do know, though, that registration for the July Open closes tomorrow. So there might be some focus going on there. You still have, I think, 24 hours or so.
Yeah, not long.
With some change to register your team of 5. So get on there, get on the forums if you're looking for a team. I know people are posting in the forums about it. Meet up with some people and do it. Have some fun. I know we've been talking about possibly putting together a team that, 3 of us with both Colin and Michaela, who have had appearances on this podcast about getting a team together for the August Open.
Yeah.
So
our victory is assured.
Yeah, we're just waiting until August, let other teams kind of get a fair chance, and then once we step in there and just blow away the competition and win the World Series, or World Championship, it's going to be wonderful.
We're going to use the money to build orphanages and save lives.
Aaron couldn't even come up with a second thing to do with money on how to save people. He's just like, buy more
That's
credit.
That's because we're just going to build more orphanages.
Maybe another microphone, dude.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, we need to pay our bills for like SoundCloud posting.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's true, yeah.
Anywho.
Other fun news, I saw on Reddit a few interesting pieces. The first being that Blizzard is promising some Kerrigan changes. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
No, don't do it.
Okay, you love OP champions, though, and you love it when a champion's OP, so we're not going to count your opinion as worth anything.
But can I just say, do you remember when I first started playing this game, and you knew the characters because you knew the lore, but you wouldn't play it with me because you're stubborn?
Yep.
And I told you that I found my first Sona. Because Sona was who I first really resonated with.
You got really resonated. I see what you did there.
I only played Sona for 3 months.
Yeah, I remember.
Wow.
So when Kerrigan, when I first played Kerrigan, I was like, oh my god, this is her. And I totally resonated, and I played only Kerrigan for a really long time. So I'm really upset because I knew she's so overpowered.
Yeah, I know they already kind of hit her with a small nerf when they changed Blood for Blood and Venom. But she's still really strong and really popular in high-level play.
Yeah, I see her here and there with some pretty heavy damage-dealing builds. But she doesn't sustain. She can get caught off pretty easily, And what's her? Does she have an escape too? Because she can jump, right?
Well, but she can only jump unless she takes a talent. She can only jump to enemies. And
Okay.
then the talent lets her jump to allies. Yeah.
Okay.
She can get bolt too. I think she used to be able to get sprint. I don't know if that's still true.
That might have been replaced.
That might have been replaced with something.
She used to be able to get rewind at
Wow.
level 13.
Okay, well that's like back.
Thank God that's not
And
true.
she
Yeah.
was the greatest thing. And that's when I fell in love with her.
I know one thing that I would like to see changed on her is she has that one ability that increases her primal grasp
20%?
length by 20%. I don't like that at all. That's just, there's almost no escaping that, because as is, primal grasp has some good range on it.
Yeah.
You add another 20% on that, and there's like no staying out of range of her unless you're using an ability to escape it.
I don't think it's overpowered, but I definitely think it's the obvious choice.
I think it'll be one of the best things to get rid of. I know watching people at our level of play, they don't really nail that combo of the know primal grasp into the stun very
the
well.
timing is very
But
key.
but with that range increase, it certainly helps people land that, and anything to really kind of minimize that and make it more of a skill combination than just a luck of the draw combination would be good in my book. So hopefully next week we'll have some more news about what specifically they're changing on her. Maybe it'll just be some stat changes. Maybe it'll be a complete talent overhaul like they've done with Brightwing and Malfurion and some of those other champions.
I hope it's just a couple, just a little nerf on some damage.
Yeah, very little minor things. I fully agree.
That
Her kit as is good.
I hope the feeling of Kerrigan remains the same.
Absolutely. Another thing though, Blizzard did make some post about Butcher. The first being, I know last week Aaron and I had talked about how overpowered Butcher feels, but Blizzard came out and said at a high level the Butcher seems to be fine.
I would agree.
What do you guys think? Yeah?
I would agree. I actually ended up buying him because I'm an assassin player. I just figured, hey, another assassin came out. Why not? I loved KT a lot, so I figured, hey, the Butcher. But turns out he's not one of my favorite assassins for sure.
Okay.
He has a curve, and just because he's big and bulky doesn't mean that he can take a lot of punches.
Right.
He's still very soft. You still have to play him as almost an Illidan in a way. I mean, but his his W gives him full sustain on in lane, but other than that, he does some pretty good damage.
Yeah. I think the only issue I truly see with Butcher now is his passive.
Okay.
I think he can heal a little bit too much if there's no way to counter him. Tanks who have imposing presence, or tanks like Muradin who have the ability to slow down attack speed, sure, that's good and all, but those are situational. It's like the Butcher, by the other team picking Butcher, then you're forced into picking something else, and I really don't like that kind of idea. I feel like Heroes of the Storm has really kind of avoided that. Certainly there's certain ways to avoid things, but it's just feeling a lot like Illidan now. Like you were just saying, it's like Butcher requires specific counters to him, which is fine if that's how if that's what Heroes was going for, but I've never really felt like Heroes was going for that kind of play set. Illidan, you pretty much have to pick a Brightwing, or you have to pick something that's like skill shot dependent, because then that's the only way to kill him. Otherwise you're kind of up shit's creek. With Illidan. I'm feeling the same way with Butcher. If you don't have a way to slow down his attack speed, then you're in trouble, because he's going to just out-heal whatever damage you're doing to him with that. So either they need to nerf that or make it make more plausibility of plays against him.
And that's why right now, any Butcher combo with, a Butcher combo with any support really is a huge danger to whatever lane they're in, because they're going to be on that lane forever.
Right. Absolutely. And I noticed he doesn't seem very mana heavy with his skills. I haven't played him.
No.
It doesn't seem like he ever runs very much.
No, he doesn't, because the beauty of it is that his auto attack is actually, it's his main damage dealer.
Right.
And that's really, when you take time and just taking auto attacks, his mana comes back up really quick.
Absolutely. Something else that I want to talk about, I don't know if you guys noticed this at all, but I just kind of realized it today when I was reading some post on Reddit. Blizzard changed the chances of the map rotation.
I did know.
Of what you would get. And I think that's why we didn't notice this one bug that came up. I know Garden of Terror was one of those maps, and Haunted Mines. I haven't seen Haunted Mines in a very long time.
Yeah.
And Spider Queen I'm seeing less and less of, but I definitely saw a lot of Battlefield of Eternity and a lot of Sky Temple. And so I think that's one of the reasons why this bug hasn't been game breaking yet. But Butcher, apparently, if he's playing the Terror in Garden of Terror, if he's the one hosting the Terror, he still gets healed off of his passive. So if he attacks like 3 times, he'll get healed.
Yeah.
And
He's
that happens
invulnerable.
and that happens in the Terror too, which is incredibly overpowered.
Yeah, they're gonna fix that pretty quick, I would hope, because that's pretty detrimental.
It is. It absolutely is. And I mean, I think it's weird. I don't know if they were intentionally trying to hide Garden of Terror because they knew this bug was a thing.
No.
I highly doubt that's the case.
I doubt that.
But it's. I guess it's kind of nice the
Yeah.
fact that Garden of Terror wasn't coming up a whole bunch because we didn't have to experience that.
Well, because I actually heard, I think it was in an interview, but they were talking about how when the when Tomb of the Spider Queen came out, a lot of people were arguing that, or were saying that they didn't get the map a lot.
Yeah.
So they got that feedback and they changed it. So when this new map released, they actually narrowed it down to I think it was only 4 maps. It was Cursed Hollow, Sky Temple, Battlefield of Eternity, and Spider Tomb.
Yeah, I know you could still get the other ones like Blackheart's Bay,
Yeah.
Haunted Mines, and Garden of Terror, but it was really, really low chance. Like,
Yeah.
I definitely know I have not played those 3 maps in the past week.
Yeah, I agree. They just want to push out the new map.
I can.
But it actually should be back to normal today.
Yeah, and that's what I saw on Reddit too. Is that the map ratios have been changed back to even.
Awesome.
But I guess that kind of leads me to my next question to you guys, and I'm going to go a little off script here.
All right.
Now, Butcher's been out for a week, and Battlefield of Eternity's been out for 2 weeks now, or at least 1 week. What do you guys feel about that? It's like, what are your true feelings about these 2 things? Do you think Blizzard hit a home run with these, or is this kind of like a thing?
Absolute home run. I love Battlefield of Eternity. I love the idea of the campaign. I am totally. They are just amazing at marketing to me, and it's horrible, but I will be your slave forever, Blizzard.
I would agree that the map is amazing. When it comes on, I'm never like, ugh, again. Like, I'm like, okay, cool, like this again.
Excited.
I'm
Exactly.
ready to mix it up, But the heroes, I think they're warming us up. I think the Butcher, out of the 3 heroes that we're going to see on this campaign is and
Butcher,
the next
King
should be
Leoric,
Leoric.
and Monk. Yeah.
So I think the Monk is going to be their grand finale probably, and their big boom to end this campaign and to probably start another one.
But King Leoric is going to be amazing.
I
'cause
agree.
He's never going to leave the battlefield.
Yeah.
It's interesting, it's like they're doing a really good job of rolling this out, and I like the idea of the campaign, because that seems to really be slacking in other MOBAs. They just kind of release something unthemed or whatever, or they'll do a skin sale theme, and that's just a way for them to make money. But Blizzard's done a really good job with this, Battlefield of Eternity kind of a theme. It's like we get a map, then we get a champion from the game of Diablo, and then we have the rumors of these 2 other ones. I really like it, and of course I love Battlefield of Eternity. If I could play only that map for the rest, this, like, at least for the next month, and have that be the only map, I'd be perfectly happy, because I'm sick and tired of Sky Temple, which I can't seem to win on, and Haunted Mines, which I can't seem to win on, or Blackheart's Bay, which I can't seem to get teammates who will get coins and all that kind of stuff. It's like Battlefield of Eternity, everyone seems to know the objective, and they made the objective so awesome and so beautiful looking that people just seem drawn to it automatically, and I've not yet once had to tell a teammate what to do on that map, because everybody seems to know. It's like, okay, the Titans are up.
Yep.
Let's go to the middle of the battlefield and fight them.
I agree completely.
Totally true.
All right, so free to play. December 16th is going to be a date we're going to burn in everyone's memory, I think, because yet again, no Abathur.
This is Blizzard, I think, is listening to the podcast, and they said, we would rather release a brand new champion than Abathur.
Then put
to
Abathur
Free Week.
up on
So
Free
they
Week.
put Johanna out. They put Johanna, Sylvanas, Tassadar, Vala, Malfurion, Zeratul, and Stitches. I really like this free week.
I think it's good. My issue is Malfurion was on Free Week last week, I believe, or if not that, the week before. Come on, there are other supports out there.
Yeah,
He's just green and easy, and
Whoa, his skin color.
And he really is, bringing in skin color here. God, Aaron.
Jeez.
I know he is really kind of in the meta right now too, or at least in high level play there has been a lot of Malfurion. I don't know if there's any correlation with that at all, but we've been seeing a lot more Malfurion in the higher level plays, so maybe that's a reason why
For
he's
the
been more
record,
consistent.
I meant that Malfurion is like green, like he's like
No,
a
you
hippie.
didn't.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
do
Very
it. Whatever.
earth
All right.
friendly.
Wow.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I would
Sure.
say this is a scary free rotation week because if it's a right team that knows how to play each of these heroes with, there seems to be a lot of damage, and that would be pretty scary to see.
Well, outside, and for me personally, outside of Sylvanas, there is not a champion on this 3 week I do not feel comfortable on.
I agree.
I feel like I could play every single one of these champions and have a good game.
Yes.
Outside of Sylvanas, because for some reason I'm just completely incapable of understanding Sylvanas, which is perfectly fine because I don't like her anyway. So.
It's true.
Wow.
He thinks Sylvanas is terrible and just the worst champion ever.
Hey, no,
and
it's
he just doesn't understand.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, well, let's go around the table here. I think we all have different top fives here. Maybe not, I haven't heard Bentley's yet, but Aaron, let's hear your top five. I know mine's different than yours, and I want to know what Bentley's is too.
So mine is Johanna, obviously, Sylvanas, Vala, and I went with a double support with Malfurion and Tassadar.
Okay.
Interesting.
What about you?
I would for sure Vala. Yes.
Because that's your favorite champion in
Yes.
this game.
Yes. Well, yeah, and she's the better assassin in this lineup.
Fair enough.
Sylvanas but depending on the map, because that would depend just on how the map is played. So if it's a team, I mean, would you agree?
No, and I'll tell you why when
Okay,
I get to my
all right.
top five.
So mine, Vala, Sylvanas, Johanna, Tassadar, and I would probably go. Honestly, I would go. If it's a good Zeratul, I would go good Zeratul over a Malfurion any day.
All right, fair enough. Mine, and I think you guys are going to think I'm biased here, but I got Johanna, Malfurion, Vala, Zeratul, and Stitches.
Wow, double support. You like that?
Double tank.
I'm sorry, yeah, double tank.
Absolutely. Well, and my entire reasoning behind going the double tank is because Malfurion is on this free week. Malfurion's amazing with double tanks.
Yeah.
Because tanks tend to be mana heavy, like I've said before.
They are.
And Malfurion has his Innervate passive, which really helps keep tanks in the game. Plus his heal over time on a really quick cooldown, and his ability to help control a battlefield for 2 tanks means that you don't have to worry about damage so much. So, that's why I break that out. I avoid Sylvanas on here because I feel like at later levels, Vala and Stitches can do a perfectly fine job clearing camps on their own. So you don't really need the camp clearing champion that is Sylvanas.
Yeah.
And then Zeratul with his Void ultimate, whatever that one is called.
Void Prison?
No.
I don't know. Is it Void Prison? I have no idea, honestly, because I don't play him very much. But
It's void something, and it's green.
right, and it does that freeze. But this can really help you set up just a great combination, because if you throw that down, that lets your team get together. Johanna can take the Sword Fall ultimate and set it up so that she falls right on top of the enemy team.
That timing,
the second,
though.
yeah, you have to get it timed.
Ooh.
But the second the Void releases that, or Malfurion with his Root, and if you can time that at the same time too, it just grants you so much control, so that Vala can line up a Rain of Vengeance. Stitches can just get in there with his Putrid Bile ultimate,
Yeah.
which is the one I tend to take on him instead of the Gorge or whatever the Eat the One is called. And it's just a great AoE combination here.
Okay.
I could see maybe substituting Stitches out for Tassadar in order to kind of help with that AoE combination. But really, in the end, I think you got to go with 2 tanks. It's really popular right now, and it's really strong. And this gives you an insanely good front line between Johanna and Stitches to allow Zeratul to just dive on the enemy's back team while you have the other team completely preoccupied. And Zeratul can just melt whoever the assassins are on the enemy team.
I mean, he really can. That damage.
And damage is crazy. Yeah, it's like you're just kind of standing there stoic looking.
No comment, sir?
No comment on this, because
I like Zeratul, but I don't know. I feel like Zeratul can also... I feel like Stitches, in general, is very situational. And can be very countered pretty easily.
And being a person who plays Stitches quite a bit, I can see where you're coming from. And maybe that's why I included him on here, because I feel comfortable with Stitches against anyone, but not a lot of people are in the same boat. I mean, Johanna is by far away a top 2 tank right now.
Yeah.
I think you can argue about if Muradin or Anub'arak is the second of that 2. But she's definitely in the top tier play here. Stitches, the average player would probably make Stitches one of the lower tier of tanks, because he does have that kind of high skill cap of knowing when to, one, be able to land that damn grab, and two, knowing when to pull it, because you don't want to pull a tank into the middle of your team.
Exactly.
You don't want to pull, somebody who can blow your team up into the middle of your team. So maybe that's just my bias there, but that's the route I would go, and I would leave Sylvanas and Tassadar on the bench.
But like out of all these heroes, it looks like Vala would be Vala and probably Malfurion would be the easiest champions to play if you're super new to the game.
I fully agree.
Because there's a lot of high-level play to be had with Zeratul, Johanna, Sylvanas, Stitches, and even Tassadar.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I think it requires a really competent player in order to bring out the best in those champions, whereas Malfurion and Vala can be played at a good level by a mediocre player.
But they're balanced, though.
Absolutely.
So
What's nice about Vala is that you can go with a really straightforward, like, add the grenades to your W, just go that build, and just focus on building one thing that's not that hard.
yeah.
Where then later you can totally shift it up and go for, Manticore and attack speed, and,
Right,
go a totally
and all that
different
kind of
build.
stuff. I fully agree. So overall, I think this is a good free week. Good way to introduce people into the game. Of course, it's like every week. I wonder if sometime they're going to up the free to play to 6 people so they can have 2 from each category. Because always there's one category that only has 1 representative. So this week there's only 1 specialist. Last week there was only 1
You
tank.
mean 8 per week?
Yeah, I'm not doing any counting right. 8 per week. You're right. So that there's 2 representatives. I think they just need to release more champions in order for that to happen. Because I know initially when League of Legends started, the free weeks were a lot slower. The bans were a lot less. Your team only got 2 bans instead of 3, and there was a lot less on free week. And that's just because they had a smaller champion pool. And I wonder if that's the same thing Blizzard's going through.
Well,
mentally.
Another thing is with League, if you're under a certain level, there are certain champions available to you.
Right.
And maybe Heroes will implement something like that with Vala, Malfurion, people who are really easy. They're like, hey, you can play these people.
Yeah, it's like, hey, just have fun with them, and then buy them.
Yeah.
And then after
because
level 10, you lose them.
Yeah, and then after level 10 you lose them, because they are relatively cheap. I think Vala's 4,000 and Malfurion's 2,000.
Yeah.
I have no idea about the others
cheap.
there, but yeah, exactly. So that's a good opinion. Hadn't really thought about that before, so
Maybe they're leaving some breathing room for expansion. So maybe like the level cap will go up to 50, and maybe level 50 the next reward will be an open hero rotation.
okay,
bot.
yeah, I can see that.
Maybe. I'm just spitballing.
Speculating.
Here.
That's what we're here for. Let's talk about our next segment, though. We're going to talk about maps. So, like I said earlier, this was brought to us by one of our listeners, so we definitely do listen to you guys.
Yeah. Shout out to who was his
I
name?
believe his name was Nate. So
Nate,
I'll
okay.
have to double check that and really make sure we're not doing this wrong.
And
Hi, Nate.
Yeah.
Hi, Nate.
This is everyone. Please let us know how we're doing and what you'd like to see. This is a great example of if you tell us what you want to hear. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, because we're always looking for content. We spend right up until like the second before we're doing the podcast itself, actually looking for things to talk about. So we love any contribution you guys can give to us. Maybe even someday we'll be able to throw out some rewards out there for people that can give us some good contribution.
Yeah.
And Bentley's kind of looking at me
There
like,
you
I'm not
go.
spending money on these people.
Well, I mean, when we go to PAX, we almost always come back with like
Goodies.
hundreds of little things to give away. I always end up giving them away to my sister, who's a teacher. But we'll
Wow.
see.
We'll see.
First,
See
we
how
have to
much
go
I
to
like
PAX.
you people.
Yeah, exactly.
Nate.
We're going to talk about Sky Temple, though, this week as our first map segment. To run down the basic info on Sky Temple, these are the very important numbers, so get out a pen and paper for this, guys.
Okay.
The first one is the first temple releases, so it becomes active at 1 minute 30 seconds. The first temple will always be the top and the middle. Those two are the first ones that will always unlock. After the temples are completely cleared, so both temples have to be completely cleared, you start a 2-minute timer, and that's when the next temples activate.
So that means you're going to hear the pew, and then they charge up and do the 5 hits. And when that happens, start your 2-minute timer.
Take a look at the clock. Type it in chat. You just type in chat. Take whatever the time is and add 2 minutes to it. So if it's 7:45, you just type in chat 9:45. This is just very similar to running timers in other games.
Yeah.
If you get used to it in like Counter-Strike or Call of Duty, League of Legends, things like that, calling out timers like that is really beneficial. I know we kind of get babied by the fact that the camps have timers on them automatically. So this is a good time to just really practice that kind of objective control. Each temple fires 45 shots and does quite a bit of damage with each shot. The last 3, of course, are completely free. So that means once you get to those last 5, I think I said 3. Once you get to those last 5, you can leave the temple, and it doesn't matter if the enemy team occupies it. You still get those shots.
That's pretty important, by the way.
Absolutely, because that's a good way to time it, too. You can just get the heck out of dodge, or you can leave and chase down the enemy team, or anything.
Or side fact, if you pick Zeratul and you void thingy...
The Vile Maw.
I swear it was Void Prison.
Okay.
Zeratul. Okay, you're
Prison.
I thought you
Yeah,
said Zagara. Okay.
No, if you go Zeratul and you go Void Prison, you can stop all 5 hits.
By putting your Void Prison on top of your building.
Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of people like to do that in Haunted Mines, too. Whenever the golem's attacking a building, you can Void Prison it, and the golem just stands there like he has no idea what to do.
Yeah.
I wonder if that'll work on Battlefield of Eternity. I haven't seen his Zeratul on a Battlefield of Eternity yet.
See if Zeratul can freeze the Immortal.
Yeah.
Well, I doubt he can freeze the Immortal, but I bet he could freeze the building and
It would be
prevent
the
from being
best if he
attacked.
could, throw it up in the air and freeze them mid-clash.
Right?
And then it's just, you wail on them.
As far as temple order goes, at the top and middle are the first temples to be released. The second temple will always be bottom. The third temple is either top and bottom or mid and bottom. And then the rest of that is random. I know at one point, I believe it's around the 20-minute mark, all 3 temples are activated. And then after that, it just becomes, completely randomized what's going to happen again. So outside of a roster, just in general, looking at this map, what are your guys' biggest tips to our listeners? Let's not even think about champions or anything like that. Let's just think about map control and things like that. What are your guys' priorities when you're playing this map?
I always like to be the guy who reminds people about camps. So I guess I'll start there. Camps are important in every map. And some people don't think so, but I really think that they are. And when a temple just goes down, or you're watching the enemy take it because you're at a loss, don't be thinking dang, now I just have to sit here and do nothing. Just go grab a camp.
Yeah.
Or if the temples haven't been up for a while, but the timers aren't up, go get a camp. Because at very least, you're going to have 30 seconds to finish it up and get to the next objective.
But it is important to stress that priorities, the temple has #1 priority over everything. It's almost like the curse on Cursed Hollow. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's the objective. So make sure you're standing on the block, because if you're just attacking them but not standing on it, it doesn't do anything. You're wasting time.
Yeah.
So
set it up like an ambush or something for the enemy team when they charge at you. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the team, the dream team we have here. We decided on 5 champions earlier, and I'll read them off real quick. We got Falstad, Brightwing, Tassadar, Zagara, and Anubarak. Why? I want to ask you guys first, and then I'll put in my own opinion. But why did you guys think these would be the top 5?
Well, because each hero has pretty important things to give to the team, and especially on this map objective.
First, I want to say Falstad is not optional.
Falstad is absolutely mandatory.
It's what this team is built around, because it's so useful, even more useful than Brightwing being able to teleport wherever you want. Because normally what happens is I, as Falstad, will go, we're holding bot, but we can't get top. So I go up, clear top, and then make it back mid just in time.
Yes.
Right,
For us not to get captured.
Yeah, because on this map, mobility is king.
Yes.
If you're able to zoom around the map really fast, any champions that can go faster, have increased mobility, are always going to be a top player in this. That's why we included Brightwing as a support, because she can teleport around, he or she, whatever it is, can teleport around. I know one of the alternatives we had talked about was Rhaegar, just because of his ability to, mount up instantly and move across the field. But Brightwing, I do agree, is better.
Yep.
With that mobility. You also get control with Polymorph, which is always helpful because I've seen Aaron do it, as well as he talks about it all the time. Brightwing can solo one of the temples if played properly, because he's able to polymorph the big dog.
And and with your kiting effectively, and just managing all your cooldowns, you heal so much, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's why we include Brightwing there. But we went with a double support comp here. I had to put Tassadar down. I think Tassadar is one of the best champions on this map for 2 reasons alone. One, if one of your buildings is getting attacked, he can throw his shield on that building and waste a couple of shots. It's not going to save a building ever, but it's going to waste a couple of those shots. And you only get 45 shots, so if you're able to burn 2 or 3 of those on a tower, protect your tower for that much longer, that's huge, because that could be the 3 shots that saves your fort.
Yeah.
Or that can be 3 shots that saves your next tower, or something like that. And that's why I include him on there. The other reason is the Mule. When I was watching the June Open, there was a lot of Sky Temple being played. That was one of the maps that the teams kept choosing, and they kept choosing Tassadar for the Mule alone. And that's because if a temple, let's say a temple started attacking a fort at full health, you could throw the Mule then onto that fort, and it'll start taking damage, but it'll also heal up. And with the duration of the Mule, it could actually heal a fort from, pretty much 1/3 or less health all the way back up to full, plus restocking its ammo and that kind of thing. And that would just be a game changer, because suddenly the next temple that comes up, even if the enemy team grabs it, they have to waste those shots on whatever building you just healed up after they had already taken it down so much. So that's why I really like Tassadar on this map. There's also the advantage of the vision control he offers with Sentinel, and using his W's to scout bushes and stuff.
It sounds funny, but Abathur is not bad on this map. Abathur has Mule, and Abathur can help both temples simultaneously.
Well, that and Abathur can occupy a lane during the middle of a temple. He can just do his little digging thing to the lane and sit there and absorb the XP while your team is fighting the enemy team. So I have seen Abathurs do that too.
I've been in situations where both teams are too weak to get the last couple things on the temple. So as Abathur, I just kind of go up there, sneak up there, hop on there for a couple seconds, and then leave.
Yeah.
And you got all 8.
Yeah, but the point is that Mule can really save your team, especially if it's a really even match and you're going neck and neck. The difference of that game could be a couple Mules.
Mule is great. Nobody thanks you for it, but your win rate
no one will thank you for it.
But you'll go up in level, so that's always a benefit.
I want to point out one tip for the meta in this map is, as a team leader, you're thinking about how to win the game as a whole. And so you don't want to waste the shots on your temple. So before the first temple, or just after the first temple, you need to be thinking about taking down towers and gates as a team. You need to be teaming up and getting the ones closest to where your temple is going to be attacking.
And hit those health fountains too. I know it only takes like 1, maybe 2 shots from a temple in order to kill those health fountains. But that's still 2 shots you could have had on the fort.
It's my biggest pet peeve when we're broken through and my entire team is just ignoring their health fountain.
Yeah.
Because think about how inconvenient it is for you when you when you can't heal. It's so annoying.
Yeah,
it is.
So do that to them.
And that's actually a good segue to our last hero, which is she's pretty good at taking down gates and towers, is Zagara.
Yeah, it's not our last hero, it's our 4th hero.
Sorry.
We haven't talked about Anub'arak either.
Oh, sorry.
But good transition
there.
there.
There you go.
I do still respect it. But yeah, Zagara, so go ahead.
She can control a whole lane, and we actually had some toss up between her and Sylv, but all 4 of us actually voted that Zagara would probably be the better
of
hero.
The 2 specialists,
just because she has, first of all, movement is extremely important, and that is done with her creep, which also gives her vision, also health regen.
Yep.
The benefits are pretty endless here, and then also she can send backup in with Hydralisks and roaches, and those Bailings, they all do tons of damage on temples. And then Aaron mentioned that you would maybe go with a tunnel ult with her on this
Maw
map.
is really, really powerful, particularly on somewhere where everybody is so hyper clustered, like on the temple.
Yeah.
However, I don't know. I think Nidus Network is extremely strong and not to be underrated.
But it almost is. No one uses it, dude.
I hardly see it. I laugh at Zagar as I take it typically, but I know Aaron loves to play like off-meta stuff with his picks and all that. Yeah, every once in a while he finds a really powerful build, but he also plays that off-meta stuff pretty well, and it can be really annoying sometimes too, because you see it, it's like it's something you don't expect, and then he utilizes it so well. So maybe sometime when we have a little more time where we could do, our own little segment on it, I'd like to get you to sit down and just, talk about some off-meta stuff, specifically this one on Sky Temple or stuff like that. I think that could be really fun to do. But I do have to agree. I think you have to go with the Maw Ultimate here. I'm thinking specifically on the bottom temple. There's a big bottleneck getting into that because there's only 2 ways into it.
I agree.
One on each side of the temple and a small amount of bush. If you can catch the entire enemy team in that bush with that Maw and just ruin their lives, that's pretty awesome.
And another good tidbit, put your creep tumors inside of bushes. People never do their AoE damage or skills on bushes and stuff. They usually stay the whole time versus if it was right in the middle of the lane where the creeps attack out of the blue. All you need is that creep spread. And that's why I go the full creep spread build to get to full map.
And I think it's completely underrated. People need to place their creep a little bit closer together. Because if it all runs together, then it's really hard to determine where the middle of that creep is to put down your AoE attack.
Yep.
Our last champion here is Anub'arak, the tank. I think you guys all know my feelings on Anub'arak. I think he is one of the best tanks in the game. I hate playing him. I haven't even bought him. He's the only warrior I haven't bought yet. But on this map specifically, for the layperson, for the person who doesn't focus on tanks a lot, I think he is one of the best tanks to take. He has insane control. And his ultimate, the Cocoon, is what I'm thinking of specifically. I know there's merits definitely to Locust Swarm, but the Cocoon can take one of the enemy team players out of commission and let your team just screw everybody else up when you're standing on a temple, and then you can all collapse on that last guy in the Cocoon. Locust Swarm is, of course, very good if you just need to solo a temple. It heals you up as well as dealing quite a bit of damage. And then, having those beetles there to help you out clear too.
A lot of people call Anub'arak's ult the "oh my god, I hate my team" ult.
Yeah, because they don't kill the Cocoon on you. I would say Anub'arak's the best tank for clearing the temples. I think my second pick there would be Stitches, and then Muradin shortly after that, just because of abilities. But Anub'arak definitely has the best clear. And since this map focuses a lot less on being in lane and a lot more on objectives and camps, being able to clear a camp or being able to clear a temple is vitally important.
I agree. This is a pretty solid team, guys.
So if you have a pre-made 5 group and you're going into a Sky Temple game, this is the 5 people we recommend for you. Mobility, again, is king. If any of these characters get taken away from you, think about somebody who is very similar to him, but still is able to move around the map really well. So if Zagar gets taken from you, go with Sylvanas. If Brightwing gets taken from you, go with Rhaegar. It's like kind of think about those similarities. You're not looking for an incredibly tanky team. You're looking for a team that can move fast and clear those temples, because that's what you need to be able to do. And you also need to be able to have vision.
If you're trying to replace Falstad's mobility, probably don't go with Sergeant Hammer.
Sergeant Hammer would be an incredibly bad choice. I fully agree.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
Lost Vikings is also trash on this map.
I disagree.
All right. Well, let's have this discussion then. I can't stand Lost Vikings on this map simply because I can't see Lost Vikings taking down a temple themselves, and I think that's what you need a specialist for on this map. Sure, they can occupy lanes while you're fighting for the temple, but it's such a team fight centric map. This is one of those maps where I would say team fighting is way more important than getting that XP in lanes, because you have to control those objectives. Some maps you can get away without controlling the objectives and be okay. Cursed Hollow and Haunted Mines are what I'm thinking of specifically. But on this map, if you ignore the objectives, you're gonna lose. There's no question about it.
Yeah, agreed. What I think you're underestimating is the Lost Vikings as a team of 3 occupying a temple.
Oh, still, I mean, maybe at later levels they can definitely take down a temple themselves, but at early levels they have nothing on like Sylvanas or Zagara, and being able to, you know, take down a temple on their own.
Well, my point wasn't that they were better.
Right.
We voted on this team, but that they're definitely viable.
And I mean, agree to disagree, I think is what we just have to kind of walk away with there.
But I'm right.
But you're right.
Okay.
Obviously.
All right, guys. All right.
No, well, can you guys think of anybody else that's just kind of bad on this map?
Honestly, I was thinking Nova, but I've had some amazing Nova games on Sky Temple going. Shout out to Aaron's build. Aaron's build.
What episode was that?
I
Episode
was
6 or
like
something?
like four episodes back or something like
Yeah.
that, I think.
But I mean, I don't know.
Basically, my build focuses on the clones.
Exactly.
Go with all the clones. Make sure that you take damage and you have the extra clone, and you increase, like, do everything to increase their power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, Nova is no replacement for Falstad's mobility. So, I mean, of course, don't pick that over her.
Well, and I can see Nova being really good in solo matches
Yep.
when you're doing just
Yep.
regular Hero League. What I'm thinking here is specifically Team League. So when you're, you know, in a intentional pre-made fives,
Yeah.
some
synergy.
This lets you get some good synergy with the mobility and all that kind of stuff. So I can definitely see Nova being very viable on solo play because that allows you to pick those idiots that are on the other team.
Exactly.
Let's move on to our last segment, though. The ever famous and ever popular Watch Us Climb.
Which we did not really have that coordinated this week.
Well, you didn't really play that much. I know you've been.
I actually played a lot, but
Did
it was
you?
different hours than you guys.
I guess that. Yeah,
And it was a
that's
different
true.
game.
Different games.
It was Hearthstone,
too.
probably.
No, I do play a lot of Hearthstone.
I've been playing.
Well, let's talk about our ranks real quick. Aaron, what are you at?
23.
23. Okay.
I'm at a 35.
35?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually haven't been playing a lot of Hero League, unfortunately.
That's
But
alright.
I bought Butcher, so I wanted to play a lot of them on Quick Match.
Get used to them, kind of.
Yeah, but I mean, I just really didn't want to play him in a Hero League just because. Actually, not.
You don't want to be that guy.
Well, but I mean, that's bad that the new hero has this taboo when they just come out. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And you had the same thing with Johanna too. is
I
that,
ran into a lot of issue with
like
that.
people were just giving you heat for just
Like, why
playing.
are you playing that champion? You don't know how to play that champion yet. It's like, yeah, but nobody knows how to play against me. so-
Exactly, and no one else knows how to play as well.
Okay. I was trying to recall. I think I'm level 21. Rank
you said
21.
you're
so
almost 20.
Almost 20. That's right. I did mention that earlier. So I'm getting closer to those teens. You know, the slow grind up there. Our Hero League or our Watch Us Climb this week excludes Aaron because we didn't really get a chance to play as three. I know I played with Bentley and I've played with Aaron. I'm sure you two have played together at least once, but we've never really managed to get together as three.
Yeah.
But this was probably our most successful of the week. It was on Cursed Hollow, and the roster was Bentley was rocking Nova. I was on Tassadar, and then we had a Muradin, Raynor, and an Uther on our team. And we were against a Tyrell, a Sergeant Hammer, a Butcher, a Brightwing, and a Vala. So what makes you think we had so much success with this team, Bentley?
I mean, first of all, I was Nova. Another shout out to Aaron's build. I had pretty good sustain. And honestly, the Butcher on the other team did not really know how to play Butcher.
He's kind of terrible.
Yeah, and he was dying a lot. So that means he was not accumulating his meat or blood stacks or whatever.
Right.
I kept catching him off guard, basically just killing him instantly. As well as Vala. She's extremely squishy. And that doesn't leave a lot for the other teim.
Well, and Sergeant Hammer is very immobile, which is Nova's
Exactly.
dream.
I mean, and with those decoys, it can put him in a sticky situation.
Right. I'm not really seeing a lot of tankiness on this team. A properly played Tyrael can be very hard to kill, but that's about it on this team. Like you said, the Butcher was an idiot. If he was a good Butcher, it could have been game-changing, but he was a bad one, so he kept dying, didn't get those stacks. The Brightwing, I think, was the only MVP really on their team because
Yeah.
you know, would polymorph at the right time and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
But just our double support meta here with a Muradin really kept Muradin alive. Uther was fantastic with those heals. Our Raynor was a good consistent damage. I wouldn't call him the best Raynor I've ever seen.
I mean, but he's basically every other Raynor you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So just consider an average Raynor that does average damage.
Yeah. I think the big advantage we had, though, is we all had abilities. Outside of Uther, we all had abilities of interrupting from range on people trying to capture things.
Well, as well as I had my ult that would just... I mean, whoever was capturing
Precision
that,
strike, yeah,
and from
exactly.
anywhere in the map as well. So that was just
Nova
great.
is great at interrupting because even her clones will interrupt.
Right.
Yep.
Even though they don't do damage, they still interrupt.
Well, but yeah.
Until later, they don't.
Until
Until later, yeah, when you take that damage thing. But early on, she really prevents it. So, our team was really good at fighting in corridors. Raynor with that, I always forget what that ultimate's called, but the gunship that travels
Hyperion
something or whatever,
something.
Yeah. That's a very good one. Uther went with his invulnerability ult, where you just become undiable.
Yeah.
Muradin with, Avatar, of course, just a big fat dwarf in the way, pounding you down. Nova with, precision strike in a corridor. Tassadar with W's, plus I think I went the Archeon. What I can't even remember how to pronounce that even. The one where you kind of evolve up into the bigger form and you do
Archon?
Is it called Archon? I didn't
believe
go
so.
Force Wall. I'll just say it that way.
Okay. Archon.
All right.
Yeah.
And so you're able to do a lot of AoE damage that way, and that really just kind of countered this a team of lacking of AoE, good AoE. Tyrael went with his charge. Sergeant Hammer did whatever Sergeant Hammer did, because I don't think I even saw her half the game since she was like split pushing a lane for most of it.
The people on the other team really were not getting it.
Yeah, exactly.
And on the contrast, we were full team synergy. We were going to each curse pretty immediately.
And we did really good. We were on comms together, and the rest of the team just kind of followed in with us.
Yeah.
So really, I mean, shout out. It's like, guys, if you can get your team on comms with you, it's worth it.
It makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference because this is an objective control based game. So there you go.
First thing you say when you join your Hero League game, instead of who's playing Falstad, can be, do you guys want to get on Curse?
Or you could just link your Curse link or whatever.
Shout out to Curse.
Yeah,
get on Curse with us.
Yeah, exactly. Do really love that program, and unfortunately, we're not sponsored by them. So Curse, if you're out there listening to us,
Facebook us.
Yeah, Facebook
email
us. Email us at niceguysnetwork.com or at gmail.com.
We love you.
Yeah, we do.
We'll treat you as well as we treated Nate.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, no. So I think that's it for this week. Good Curse Hollow game, good maps. Talking about that Sky Temple.
Yeah, we'll see what Blizzard brings to the changes with Kerrigan next week, if it is next week.
Billy, it's been a while since you've taken us out.
All right, thanks for listening to Podcast Heroes, where we podcast about heroes. Also, some other bad news. His name is totally Max. It's not Nate. I just looked up on Facebook.
We're terrible at this.
We love you still, Max. Nate.
We love you as you look like a Nate.
You look like sure, you look like a Nate, Max.
Bye, Max.
Bye, Max.
Good morning, winter travelers, and welcome to Podcast Heroes.